How you guys doing? So I'm a little under the weather, so just bear with me. Sorry if I pause a little too long, just a little out of it. Today I want to talk to you about alarm systems and the very first alarm systems that have been around. These are just my notes, by the way. That have been around since around, I want to say, 1837-ish is when these innovations kind of came about. Because in 1837, a man by the name of Samuel Morse, he created what was known as the telegraph system. Now, this system allowed us to communicate over great distances, which allowed instant communication, as opposed to at the time where it would take days to communicate something between cities or towns. Now it could take minutes to communicate. Thanks to this invention from Samuel Morse, we were able to create the first alarm system, which was using the telegraph system at the time. In 1851, men by the name of William Channing and Moses Farmer took the idea of using the telegraph system and then pairing that with a centralized box, which would consist of a key and a crank, to create the very first fire alarm system, which pretty much you would put the key in, then turn the crank. It would transmit a signal through the box, through using the telegraph system, to a centralized unit, which would be at the fire stations. And then this centralized unit would use some kind of alarm, which at the time I believe was gongs, where or not gongs, church bells. It would ring the church bells, and that would cause, it would be pretty much the very first alarm system, which alert fire departments on where they needed to go to put out the fire, thus increasing the odds of preventing the fire from spreading and decreasing the fatalities involved. Now, when it comes to the first actual transmission, according to the Department of Agricultural Forest Service, the first successful transmission using this invention of theirs happened in 1852 from Kazoo Street, and this happened on April 30th. And this was in Boston, which is where these guys were originally from. Now, when it comes to modern security systems, the person that's credited with creating the first burglar system was Augustus R. Pope, and he used electromagnets to kind of detect motion in a way, or during a break-in, it would trigger the magnet would trigger the alarm, which alerted presence of a burglar, often resulting in them either getting caught or them running because they triggered an alarm, because it's new to them, they don't really understand what it is. Now, however, Pope eventually does fall ill, and he eventually sold his patent to a man by the name of Edward Holmes. Now, Holmes was able to take this patent, and then he was able to improve upon it, and he kind of commercialized it, and he brought it to very different cities where he was able to sell, I believe it was about 1,200 or more. It was probably more than that, but at least 1,200 individual units to these cities. And his security system built upon what was already around by Pope, but his security system used something called it used a clock spring as well as a latching device. So pretty much what it was the clock spring could be used to reset the device, and the latching device prevented it from being turned off unless it was reset first. So someone couldn't just turn off the device. They have to reset it and then turn it off. And of course, burglars wouldn't automatically think that, because this is a brand new system, so it's never been done before. Now, Holmes also is a major role in the fact that he started the very first security company. And thanks to him, there's very many security companies out there nowadays. There's Ring, ADT. Those are the two I can really just think of, the major ones. Now, in the 70s and the 80s, these same security systems were later improved on even more thanks to technology at the time. These security systems allowed motion sensors, which could detect motion no matter where they are. If it triggered it would make the alarm go off. Sorry about that. Now, in the modern era, thanks to technology and then, of course, the internet, we're able to pretty much do all this monitoring online. So, all of our security systems are linked directly to police departments or fire departments, and this allows the first responders to be dispatched almost immediately after an alarm is triggered. Now, we are also able to use our smartphones to monitor our security cameras, and we can arm them, disarm them, we can record video, we can send videos, stuff like that to the proper authorities, which helps us to have 24/7 monitoring out there. Now, companies, like I mentioned before, a lot of people use Ring or ADT. Ring is most popular thanks to their doorbell cameras, where it acts as not just a doorbell, but it is a camera that can record 24/7 if you set it up properly. They have many different versions. They got the battery powered version, and then they have a plug-in version which is on 24/7. That's the one I usually recommend people because the only thing you got to worry about is a power outage. But if you have a backup power like to the thing, because they do have a battery still built into it, so you're really just plugging into that battery, so that battery would still have power even if the power goes out. It just would only last, I think the battery's like 3 months or something like that on a full charge if you're using it properly. So in conclusion, thanks to Samuel Morse for his invention of the telegraph, that was able to pave the way for Farmer and Channing to create the very first fire alarm system, which helped save a lot of lives in the process. And then, thanks to Pope and Holmes, modern day security in homes and business offices they're just better in general. And thanks to that we got 24/7 access to home security and business security around the clock, thanks to the companies like ADT and Ring, of course, which then sends signals from break-ins to police departments in case if it's a break-in, and then if it's a fire, it automatically sends it to the fire departments. Thank you.